I would like to greet you in one of the most beautiful sanctuaries of our Unitarian churches here in Transylvania. It is beautiful especially because of the artwork made by the women of torockószentgyörygi, those women who have the knowledge of the ancient tradition of making these embroideries. Those who live here can distinguish absolutely the two embroideries made in the two villages, one in torockószentgyörygi and the other one in Torockó, although for the rest of us, both of them look very much alike. But the women who are very knowledgeable, they can say that who made it, because there are specifics which they know, they inherited, and for them it's like an open book, and they can read the message which is in all these embroideries, message which comes from ancient times, which unfortunately not everybody can decode it today, but I think it's one of the most important traditions here we have in Transylvania. We are in one of the most spectacular villages of this region, especially because of the sleeping giant called the Secular Rock. If you will take a look from the restaurant, which is one of the most beautiful restaurants in Transylvania, if you will take a look at the mountain, you will certainly see that it's a sleeping giant, a giant person laying on his back. You can distinguish the head, the eyes, the arms, and the entire body of the sleeping giant. It is a very important symbol of the people here. In this village, people say that we are standing here, we are living here at the feet or at the head of this sleeping giant, and until the sleeping giant is laying there, the future of this place, it's a certainty, because it will watch our dreams and it will watch our future. This region has its first written remembrance since 1332, where for sure we know the name of the minister who has been a Catholic priest of this town, so 1332. Obviously the entire region was a Catholic region, but in the 16th century, sometimes around 1566, when the Unitarianism started to spread all over Transylvania, this region, the whole Torockó Valley, both villages, Torockó which she passed and torockószentgyörygi, became Unitarians. One of the big reasons why this region became Unitarian was that the noble who owned the entire place and the entire region, the Torockói noble family, has converted between the first to the Unitarianism, so obviously that all their servants became Unitarians. It was not a matter of knowledge, it was a matter of law on that time, and especially if the noble has chosen another religion, then the peasants who served for him had to choose the same religion. This is why in this village, in the 16th century, everybody became Unitarian, but lately, in the 17th and the 18th century, because some nobles have converted to different other religions, they founded the other churches. For example, one Torockói got very sick, and the Catholic priest told him that if he will walk to Csíksomlyó, one of the most saint places in Transylvania, a pilgrimage place, then he will heal. And he tried, he walked on his feet there, and he healed, and he said that, okay, I will make the foundation of a Catholic church here. He brought in here priests and monks, and he made school, and he built a huge, well, not a huge, quite big Catholic church, and the Catholic congregation still exists in the village. Unfortunately, there are about 20-25 Catholic people left. The region has a very interesting history because it is situated on the edge a little bit, in the border of the big Hungarian region. The history was not always very friendly. In the 18th century, especially in 1704, the Austrians came and wanted to punish one of the Torockói family members who has been one of the leaders of the so-called Kuruc revolution, a revolution against the Austrians. They burned out not only the fortress, which you might see if you walk out from the church, but they burned the whole village. Luckily, the people of torockószentgyörygi were wise enough not to leave the place, and written history says that first they rebuilt the church, the Unitarian church, and until the church was rebuilt, they were sleeping in caves and in different other places because the whole village was burned down. And after they rebuilt the church, they rebuilt their own houses and they rebuilt the entire village. 80 years later, another resurrection came, but that was a resurrection of the Romanian peasants against the Hungarian nobles. And 80 years later, in 1704, the whole history has been repeated. The Romanians came and burned down the entire village, and everything was only ashes. And the people did not leave. The people rebuilt again the existing Unitarian and by then Catholic church, and they rebuilt the entire village. In 1849, the same history has been repeated. Almost by the end of the Hungarian Revolution, especially more exactly 1849, July the 30th, the Romanian army came to punish Torockó, the other village, which was a very rich village. And the mayor of Torockó was a very knowledgeable man. I tell it for those Hungarians who have read the book God is One, written by Jókai Mór, that he has been writing in that book. The main character of the book is the former mayor of Torockó, who had the courage to go into the tent of the Romanian leader. He paid off a lot of money and animals and whatever we can think about. And the Romanians did not do any harm to Torockó, but they came to torockószentgyörygi. 7 people were sent to talk to them, but unfortunately they were killed and the entire village was burned down. As Orbán Balázs, one of the main writers who had written a huge book about the entire Transylvania, he went to every place and has written about the history, the geography, biology, and whatever we can think of. He said that only 2 houses remained. Even the bell towers were melted in the huge fire which came to the village. I forgot to mention that there is a Latin plaque about the 1704 Austrian damage, and it says in Latin about the sad deeds of the Germans here in 1704. So, last time in 1849 the entire village was burned down, but the village had always the resources to resurrect, and people could rebuild the churches and they could rebuild the entire village. And I think that it was for the last few decades one of the main ideas that whatever big harm can come to this village, because our ancestors could rebuild themselves, we should do the same in the different historical circumstances. One of the most interesting things is that there are 2 mainly Hungarian villages, Torockó and torockószentgyörygi. Torockószentgyörygi is 100% Hungarian village. Torockó has some Romanian inhabitants, but there are 2 absolutely different villages in the way of thinking, the way people think, and the way people act. Torockó was a very rich city. It had the title of the city because their ancestors were miners, and the legend says that the miners were brought from Germany. Even now in Torockó we have some family names with German origins. Many of the important names of the different parts of the village still have their German roots, and people believe that they came from Germany. It was a very successful mining place. Not the sleeping giant. The majority of the tourists think that the sleeping giant was hiding the iron ore. It's a place near the village. On the way you came, it was on the right side. And they not only had the different mines where people had and the different families made a union.